It'll be interesting, certainly, to see who will win in the fight for Rubio supporters, of course, as I mentioned. Next week, 5 states hold caucuses. Bruce?
Joining us now to talk about the results and the impact as we move forward in the presidential race is the head of Jacksonville University's Public Policy Institute, Rick Mullaney. Rick, good to have you here. Appreciate it.
Great to be here.
You cannot deny that Donald Trump's win was impressive, but that's not necessarily the big headline of the evening. What do you think it was?
Well, the big winners, of course, were Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, but the big story, the most significant, was John Kasich's win in Ohio. And the reason for that is that if Donald Trump had won in Ohio, he would, in fact, be on his way to securing 1,237 delegates, the amount needed for the nomination. But for those who are in the anti-Trump camp, Ohio was a slight thread, was the thread they were holding on to. And John Kasich's win means a greater probability of a contested convention. In short, that Ohio result means a greater probability for a contested convention as opposed to Donald Trump.
Let me throw this out. That said, you definitely are going to have a three-way race now.
Absolutely.
Trump, Cruz, and Kasich.
Yes.
With Cruz and Kasich still in it, does that not split the anti-Trump vote and give him an edge?
There are actually two schools of thought. There's another school of thought that suggests that John Kasich will do better in more moderate states like Pennsylvania, Maryland, New York than Ted Cruz would have done by himself. And many of these states are still proportional. There's this impression that it's now winner take all on the Republican side. That's really not true. A lot of states are going to be proportional. So John Kasich is well positioned to get some of those votes. Remember this, Donald Trump has about 600 just plus delegates. You need 1237. He has to win about 600 of the remaining 1,000. That's 60%. For Ted Cruz, he has to win over 80%. Realistically, the only person who can get to 1237 is Donald Trump, but Kasich's win in Ohio makes it more problematic and does increase the chances for a contested convention.
So if we have a contested convention and say that they manage to keep Trump from getting the GOP nomination, does he run as an independent?
A contested convention is not the cure-all that some of the establishment may think it is. Donald Trump will clearly enter the convention with the most delegates. To deny him and his supporters the nomination in that case would be very, very difficult, very divisive. There's not really a great outcome in the Republican Party that unites them. But yes, in answer to your question, there is a possibility he would run as a third party if, in fact, he was denied the nomination. At a contested convention, it would be very, very difficult on the Republican Party.
On to the Democratic side. Is it a foregone conclusion that Hillary Clinton will be their nominee?
Yes. It has been for a while. Hillary Clinton last night solidified and confirmed the fact that she is on the pathway to become the nominee for the Democratic Party, barring some unexpected result out of the Justice Department. She had a big night last night. We don't have the results back from Missouri yet. It could be a clean sweep for her. She's over 300 delegates ahead on pledged delegates. She's got a huge lead in super delegates. It's pretty much, we know who the nomination's going to be. Having said that, Bernie Sanders' impact shouldn't be understated. He has shaped the debate, he has shaped the conversation, he has moved Hillary Clinton to the left, and he has the money, raising over $40 million in February, to stay in the race for a while, so he'll still have an impact.
I was going to say he's not going anywhere.
He's not.
Crystal ball time. It's November. Clinton versus Trump in a matchup. The betting markets right now say that Hillary Clinton wins handily with 70% of the support. In January, it was 60%. Your assessment?
We've all been wrong about Donald Trump for many, many months. This may turn out to be wrong, too, but I think that assessment's actually fairly accurate. Maybe not with those numbers, but in a head-to-head battle between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, I believe Hillary Clinton has the advantage. George Bush had 44% of the Hispanic vote when he won. Romney had 27% when he lost. I think Donald Trump's going to have a difficult time with women, with the Hispanic vote. He may get crossover Democrats, particularly in the Rust Belt, but it's advantage Hillary Clinton if it's Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump, according to the conventional thinking, and he's defied all the conventional thinking, so who knows for sure.
Have you ever seen anything like this?
Never. I think this is unlike anything we've seen, certainly anything in my lifetime. This race will be written about for years to come. Donald Trump has rewritten all the rules as it relates to him. As it relates to him, we've seen nothing like it, and in the months ahead, there's more to come.
It was interesting, too, because Ben Carson said, so if Trump gets elected, we don't like what he does, we only have to deal with it for 4 years. Well, there's an interesting take. Rick Mullaney, thank you.